season. 18 degrees, a windy day, rain in the forecast, but it should hold off until after this game is over. Ron Lancaster played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and went to the Hall of Fame because of it. He's 7-6 as a head coach against his former team, and of course, he coached the Riders too. Jim Daly's in his first year as the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Last year, he was the defensive coordinator for the team that allowed the fewest yards in the Canadian Football League. But his team is on a 4-game losing streak and comes to Edmonton seeking revenge. So too does the kicker, Frank Jagus, a former Edmonton Eskimo, who kicks it off. And this football game is underway. Darian Hagan from the 20-yard line. Hagan, looking for room to run, gets out to the 37-yard line. A return of 18 yards. The starting lineups are brought to you by Corel. 31-year-old Danny McManus has thrown a league-leading 13 interceptions. And the last time he met Saskatchewan, he was 15 for 41 passing, his worst outing of the year. Eddie Brown leads the CFL in receiving, joined by Shalon Baker, Darren Flutie, and Nick Mazzoli. Eric Blunt carries the mail in the backfield. And the offensive line is anchored by Rod Conop, a 6-time CFL All-Star. On first down from the 37, this is Eric Blunt. Tries the right side, it's nothing doing. LeBrant Robinson steps in right away and makes the tackle for the Saskatchewan defense. Glenn?
Well, defensively, going for Saskatchewan, Bobby Jerson, of course, leads the way up front. His 7 sacks, number 1 in the CFL. He's joined by Troy Alexander, Ernie Brown, and LeBrant Robinson. The linebacking core, Greg Battle makes his return, second game for him this year. And in the secondary, Errol Brown's at safety, Dave Van Bellingham out with a pulled hamstring, Tyrell Ulmer and Benson Donaldson on the corners.
No gain for Eric Blunt on first down. It's 2nd and 10. McManus from the shotgun has lots of time, has Shalon Baker, and he has the catch for what should be a first down at the 47-yard line, working on Tyrell Ulmer.
Yeah, it's going to be a matchup all game to watch for. Tyrell Ulmer and Shalon Baker, about the same size, about 156 pounds. Ulmer a little bit heavier, but both very good athletes, very good in the man-to-man situation, so it's a matchup we'll have to watch for throughout this game.
1,156 yards receiving for Shalon Baker last year when he was named the CFL's Rookie of the Year. On first down, this is Eric Blunt again through the right side, and again he is dropped. This time Ernie Brown, the first-year man out of Syracuse, comes up and makes the stop. It's a loss of 3.
The story, Ernie Brown, is he was in the Riders camp last year and was released. He was brought back this year. Glenn Culkin's a little beat up, so he gets the start. Brown's in there, reads the play perfectly, and is in the backfield before Eric Blunt has a chance to get started.
And again, it's 2nd and long for Edmonton. Now 2nd and 13. Early movement, flags are down. McManus up over the middle, has Darren Flutie. Another flag comes down as Flutie makes the catch at the Saskatchewan 45-yard line. A 21-yard gain. Dwayne Provo makes the stop, but there are multiple flags.
It looked to me like Troy Alexander may have jumped offside. Now, whether or not he was drawn is the question.
Offside, Saskatchewan 46, penalties declined, illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Saskatchewan 99, penalties declined, first down.
Well, Tommy Smith, number 99, is the linebacker who was called for pass interference downfield. So the gain will stand for Flutie, a 21-yard pickup. First down Edmonton at the Saskatchewan 45.
Concern for Jim Daly already. Most penalized team in the Canadian Football League, and doesn't look like they've got any better at it.
On first down, they set up the receiver screen to Shalon Baker. He gets a block from Eric Blunt and gets a first down close to the 30-yard line. It gets thrown down hard, didn't like that. And the war of words continues between Shalon Baker and Tyrell Ulmer, a gain of 12.
It's one of my pet peeves is this little hitch screen, but it works perfectly for the Edmonton Eskimos here because Shalon Baker gets the key block from his running back Eric Blunt and Jerry Collins out there in the flat. You see 35 Blunt, and that allows Shalon Baker to get down there, and you see the fisticuffs afterwards between Baker and Tyrell Ulmer.
McManus from the shotgun has Baker again, and Shalon Baker has another first down. Lost the football. Shalon Baker lost the ball, picked up by the Riders' Bryce Bevel, and a turnover on the first possession by the Edmonton Eskimos. gives the Saskatchewan Roughriders the ball back. And Shalon Baker unable to hang on. Bryce Bevel, another first-year man out of Syracuse, recovers the fumble.
Well, Baker does a nice job to get separation on Ulmer. Gets a little bit of a pick. Ulmer's behind, but then he does the right thing. Try and go for the strip when you're making that tackle. Brings that right arm down hard on Shalon Baker's hand. That pops the ball out, and Bryce Bevel takes it back.
A rare turnover by the Edmonton Eskimos, and it's a big one early on.
Starting to get the feeling these two teams don't like each other?
Intensely. Play action on first down. Warren Jones looking for Peter Tuipulotu, and he gets a mud bath as Glenn Rogers drives him down on the sideline. That's the one wet spot on the field here at Commonwealth Stadium. Warren Jones, the 29-year-old out of Dallas, was the 5th-ranked passer in the Canadian Football League last year. Just 2 touchdown passes this season. Rod Harris and Curtis Mayfield join Ray Elgard and Don Narcisse, and the CFL's leading rusher, Robert Mims, runs behind this offensive line with Scott Hendrickson playing center for the first time in his CFL career this season. Edmonton shows blitz, and here it comes. Warren Jones is under pressure, and he is sacked. Willie Pless and Benny Goods got there to sack the Saskatchewan quarterback.
Well, Benny Goods is right here, and you're going to see the pressure that he gets and has all season. I mean, he's been their best defensive lineman for rushing the passer, working on Paul Vida. Just sticks with the pass rush, works to the outside, and when Warren Jones is flush, Benny Goods is right there with the help of Willie Pless to clean him up.
The loss of 9 means Brent Matic will come on to punt. Edmonton has the 2nd best punt return game in the Canadian Football League this year.
Get in front, guys. Get him in front. Get him in front.
Shalon Baker driven back to his own 25-yard line, stumbles there, and Baker fights his way out to the 35-yard line, but a great kick by Matic, a 55-yard punt, a return of 10. A great start between Saskatchewan and Edmonton. Back in a moment.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Play just underway, and Danny McManus has just been picked off by Vincent Donaldson. Edmonton came out quickly, and McManus' first pass of his 2nd possession is intercepted. The 14th time McManus has been picked off this year. He leads the league in that category.
Well, Vincent Donaldson, Gord, well known for his man-to-man coverage, one of the best bump and run cover guys in the league, but in this case, he's playing zone. He drops off and is sitting to the outside deep zone. Danny McManus doesn't think he can get there, but Vincent Donaldson closes the space in a hurry and picks it off.
2nd turnover of the game by the Eskimos. 1st and 10 Saskatchewan from its own 50. Here comes Robert Mims. And look who he ran into. Willie Pless, helmet to helmet with Robert Mims, stacks him up for a gain of 4.
You don't think the all-time CFL leader in tackles is a little fired up? The fact that he's got another chance at Robert Mims. I mean, here's the interception right here by Vincent Donaldson. He was on the outside deep zone, came across as soon as that ball was thrown down the seam and picks it off. And Danny McManus had no idea that he could get there in that type of speed.
5 minutes and 10 seconds into the game, Edmonton has fumbled once and thrown an interception. Now Warren Jones waiting for time. Under pressure is Jones. Finally gets it away and incomplete. Looking there for Mims, who was well covered on the play by Davis Reed. And the pass falls incomplete, and once again, Saskatchewan unable to take advantage.
Wow, Warren Jones is, I mean, if he's going to have success, he's got to do it by doing what he did there and rolling out, moving the pocket around. You know, so far in this football game, that offensive line in front of him has given him time to throw initially. But he's got to make the reads, spread the ball around. We talked about it in the opening. He goes to Don Narcisse just too much.
Brent managed to punt to Shalon Baker, who returned a punt 86 yards for a touchdown in the first meeting this season. And he's about 86 yards away now.
Get him in the front, guys. Get him in front.
Shalon Baker from the 15-yard line dances up to the 20, but can't get much further. The stop is made on the play by Brooks Finley, a backup linebacker. Danny McManus has yet to throw an incompletion. His first 4 passes were caught by teammates. The next one was caught by Vincent Donaldson.
And I asked Ron Lancaster about the interception problem that Danny McManus seems to have, and he said, you know, he's a tremendously accurate passer. Very accurate in practice, very accurate usually in the games. He said, but sometimes that can get you in trouble as a quarterback because even though there's coverage, you think you can get the ball in there and you try and force it.
He's thrown 40 interceptions in the last year and a half. On first down, this is Eric Blunt trying to get outside. He will not. Stopped there by Greg Battle, who comes up and makes the stop for Saskatchewan. With Greg Battle and Willie Pless in the football game today, you've got 5 of the last 6 outstanding defensive players in the Canadian Football League.
And the number 1 and number 2 tacklers in the history of the Canadian Football League in Pless and Battle. And Eric Blunt not having the year he had last year in his 9 games. He's had a little bit of ankle problems this year. Hasn't practiced the whole time with the Edmonton Eskimo offensive starting unit. Has rested it. Perhaps lost a little timing.
After a gain of 2, wide open, Darren Flutie, and Flutie up to the 45-yard line. Darren Flutie with his second catch of the game, good for 24 yards and a first down.
That's why Darren Flutie is inside, is because he's smart receiver, and he knows when they play the zone like Saskatchewan's doing right here, he's got the ability to find the open area. He does that in behind the linebackers, but in front of safety Arrow Brown, gives his quarterback a nice big target.
Only injuries prevented Darren Flutie last year from putting up his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard receiving season. Now, more time for McManus, and Eddie Brown makes his first catch of the game. Eddie Brown up the sidelines and out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 44-yard line. Eddie Brown has been on fire, 17 catches now in his last 3 games and a bit.
Well, that's why this Edmonton offense is so dangerous. I mean, you have Darren Flutie on one side, who's a real smart possession receiver, and then when Saskatchewan decides to play a little man-to-man, guess where they're going to go? Right over there to the speedster in Eddie Brown.
A 21-yard gain for Eddie Brown. First down Edmonton at the Saskatchewan 44. Blunt on first down. Takes LeBrant Robinson for a ride down to the 38-yard line. A gain of 5 yards.
Brant Robinson and Eric Blunt will be hitting heads throughout this football game because the Edmonton Eskimos always trying to establish that running game, and you get the feeling when you talk to head coach Ron Lancaster, with the running back with the ability of Eric Blunt, he's a little disappointed he doesn't have better numbers in that category.
Blunt was held to 38 yards rushing on 11 carries in the first meeting between the 2 teams. Back to the ground they go, back to Blunt, and Bobby Jurison was in the Edmonton backfield, stops Eric Blunt short of a first down, and Edmonton will be forced to try a field goal.
What a play by Bobby Jurison. I mean, Bobby Jurison has contained on this play. Now here he is, he has contained, has to go upfield, but when he run, he cuts down underneath and has the speed to be able to get to Eric Blunt before he hits the hole. Incredible play by Bobby Jurison.
Bobby Jurison had 8 sacks last year, then shed 30 pounds in the offseason and has 7 sacks already this season. Sean Fleming has yet to miss a field goal for Edmonton since returning to this team, and he'll try now from the 45-yard line. Glenn Harper is his holder. Had trouble getting it down, but Fleming puts it through. The Edmonton Eskimos have the first points of the football game and a 3-0 lead on Saskatchewan. Glenn Harper and Sean Fleming having a laugh on the sidelines after a close call.
Well, maybe the most thankless position in Canadian in football to have to be the holder. But you see Glenn Harper pins that one on the turf and gets it down.
You know, you and Lee Pedersen were both holders. I've heard more about pinning that. From the 35 on first down, the give goes off to Robert Mims, and Mims gets out to the 40-yard line before he is tracked down by Larry Ruck. A gain of 5 yards. You know, if they could invent a machine to do that, they'd replace you guys. Just snap it into a funnel or something and drop down a pipe or something.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, ask any kicker how important the holder is. He'll tell you how important that job is.
Dave Ridgway told me that you always put the laces facing his foot. Made him limp all the time.
He deserved it.
2nd and 5. Back to the ground to Mims, and Derek McCready gets in there for Edmonton, and McCready, who is playing with a badly injured arm, submarines Robert Mims and stops him short of the first down.
Well, now Robert Mims had a good football game the last time these two teams met on the ground, and he had a pretty good gain on first down there, but I don't know that 2nd and 5, you go to Robert Mims in a pretty much straightforward running play and expect to beat this Edmonton Eskimo defense.
And you see the gigantic pad on the right arm of Derek McCready. And Brent Matich, once again, back to punt to Shalon Baker. Baker stands at his 26-yard line and is lucky to get out to the 30 before he's wrestled down. A 40-yard punt, a return of 4. Paul Vida comes up to make the stop for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, Eric Blunt is just now completing what would be his first season as an Edmonton Eskimo. When you think that he came in with only 9 games remaining last year, but Eric Blunt has over 1,100 yards rushing in his 1 year with Edmonton.
You can see how his production between last year and the games he's played so far this year has dropped off a little bit. It could be partly due to the fact that he has a bad ankle, hasn't practiced all the time with the team. Also, they had struggled rushing the ball a little bit this year.
This time they fake the Blunt, back over the middle they go, and the catch is made. Jerry Collins makes the grab up at the 50-yard line, a pickup of 20 yards for Jerry Collins. Just his 6th catch of the year out of the fullback position.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is what play action will do to you. Right here is the linebackers for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Great battle, Tommy Smith. Now watch how when the play action fake goes right here, the linebackers are sucked up into the play. That allows Jerry Collins to get in behind him.
They fake the receiver screen. Danny McManus takes a hit, but had a man wide open, Shalon Baker, and a flag comes down. Terrell Ulmer and Shalon Baker are having a great battle. And there's a flag right where they were battling. It would appear to be against Saskatchewan.
Wow, Richie Hall is a defensive back.
Deliberate forward pass interference. Saskatchewan number 2, first down.
Richie Hall is a defensive back coach. I asked him about the play of Tyrell Ulmer throughout the season. He said he's a great athlete and it has been playing well, but when he gets out of his game, starts talking too much on the field, and starts to get into that personal battle, he can lose focus. Right now, it appears that he's done that.
15-yard penalty sends the Eskimos down to the Saskatchewan 43. Here comes that receiver screen, and they call that incomplete. That looked pretty close to a lateral, Glenn.
Awful close, and that ball is thrown behind Danny McManus, behind the line of scrimmage. It's considered a lateral and a live ball, but the official on the spot ruled that it was an incomplete pass. And you get a look here, that ball comes behind that line, which is the 45-yard line. It's a lateral. It looked like it hit his hands just in front of him.
Now 2nd and 10 for the Edmonton Eskimos, who have moved the ball well, but have just a field goal to show for their efforts so far. Here comes the blitz. McManus has time, looking over the top, and it falls incomplete. He was looking there for Mark Tolbert, but the pass is out of the reach of the graduate of the University of Alberta. Now 3rd down from the 43-yard line. And once again, Sean Fleming will come on to try a field goal, this time from 50 yards out.
Well, Mark Tolbert is the intended receiver. He's the one who takes off. You see the pressure coming up the middle from Troy Alexander, and he hits McManus just as he releases the football. But Tolbert was running that pattern on Tommy Smith, the linebacker, and you know that Edmonton Eskimos, Ronnie Lancaster, is going to go back to that matchup.
Sean Fleming puts his perfect record on the line. He's 4 for 4 trying this kick. And now 5 for 5. A 50-yard field goal for Sean Fleming. He's accounted for all of Edmonton's scoring in a 6-0 lead. There's Sean Fleming, now 5 for 5 as the Eskimo kicker since coming back from the training camp with the Washington Redskins, and that made the previous Edmonton kicker dispensable, as Edmonton unloaded Frank Jaggis, who is now a Saskatchewan Roughrider. Frank Jaggis, by the way, in one of the great college football games of all time, 20 points in the Vanier Cup back in 1994 for the Western Ontario Mustangs. On first down for Saskatchewan, Warren Jones hangs it out there for Robert Mims. Darian Hagan makes the stop up at the 43-yard line, a gain of 8. 3 possessions for the Saskatchewan Roughriders so far. All 3 have been 2 and out.
Let's get to the starting lineups for the Edmonton Eskimos. Defensively, Mike Sellers, Benny Goods leads the way up front with 5 sacks. Derek McCready and Jed Roberts will switch in and out at the defensive tackle position. Malvin Hunter also the defensive end. The linebackers, Ruck, Pless, and Eric Mobley, or Singor Mobley, excuse me.
First completion for Warren Jones, and now a fumble. The ball is still loose, and the Edmonton Eskimos believe they have it. It squirted out of the hands of Robert Mims, and a costly turnover for Saskatchewan.
You don't want to turn the ball over in the best of times, but definitely not in your end of the field. And Jim Daly, from a defensive perspective, knows he's got to come up with a big defensive effort now. But here comes Robert Mims over the top. The ball squirts loose, and one of the best linebackers to ever play the game, Larry Ruck, I believe, is the one who ends up coming up with the football.
Larry Ruck, who was a rookie with you.
Yeah.
With the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Back in 1984, Larry Ruck and I were up in Saskatoon for training camp together, and boy, I wish he was my teammate for all those years in Saskatchewan.
On first down, McManus hangs it out a long way and gets it there to Nick Mazzoli, but Mazzoli gets held up and buried. Dan Rashovich among those who get there to make the stop.
Nick Mazzoli's coming off his best year last year with the Edmonton Eskimos, had over 1,000 yards. First time the Mazzoli's ever been over 1,000 yards receiving the Canadian Football League. And see how he just catches you out, has to go down on one knee to pick it up, and then tries to pick up the extra yards.
Now on second down, they go back to that side to Darren Flutie, and Flutie right at the first down marker, out of bounds at the 31-yard line.
Right now, Saskatchewan Roughriders are giving Edmonton pretty much the same look on first down and then the same on second. First down, they're going to zone defense. That's allowing Darren Flutie to get open and find the holes. On second down, second and long, they go to man-to-man, and that's when you know that Danny McManus is going to start looking for Eddie Brown.
Darren Flutie had just 19 catches coming into this game, and the Eskimos have talked about utilizing his skills more. On first down, McManus looking over the top for Eddie Brown. Touchdown!
Nothing fancy about what Eddie Brown does here. This is how he has made a living in the Canadian Football League. Straight out speed, and all he does is run past his former teammate, Robert Holland, and he had Holland by about 4 yards.
4th touchdown catch of the year for Eddie Brown, and he fires the ball into the stands. Eddie Brown has been on fire. That is now 4 consecutive games with a touchdown for the CFL's leading receiver. Sean Fleming puts the point after up and good, and the Edmonton Eskimos have extended their lead to 13-0, taking quick advantage of the Saskatchewan turnover.
What's up, Bubba?
Eddie Brown is coming from the slapback position. Robert Hall.
I don't know what it is, but happy birthday anyway. What's up, Samir, everybody?
I'll just let Eddie Brown get his messages in there. Here's Eddie Brown right here. Nothing fancy, straight up the field. Robert Holland, last week versus Montreal in his first game back, played the corner position. And you can see him, Holland, just turn and get out of his back pedal. It was too late at the speed of Eddie Brown.
And Eddie Brown ran by and high-fived that guy right there. Who is that guy? Who is that guy on the right-hand side?
This guy right here? You talking about that guy?
That's the boss, Hugh Campbell. Hey, how about that? Paying the cost to be the boss. He's right down in the end zone, and Hugh Campbell spent a little time in the end zone in his career. He's calling Eddie's agent.
Yeah. I think Eddie deserves a little bit of a raise. He keeps doing things like that.
Hey, Les. You better hope that wasn't a matchup.
He's talking to Les Brown back in the battle. They're still taunting Les, and he's retired. The kickoff taken by Curtis Mayfield, and Mayfield gets out to the 37-yard line. And Warren Jones in the offense will try desperately to get their first down of this football game. after Eddie Brown scores the touchdown, the first major of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos. It covers 31 yards, and it's Danny McManus' 11th touchdown pass of the year.
Of course, that's direct result of the fumble by Robert Mims, and sudden change offense came and took advantage of it immediately.
Back to Robert Mims they go. And look at Robert Mims put his head down, pull his way out to the 45-yard line for a gain of 8. Well, it's a nightmare start for the Saskatchewan Roughriders trying to snap that 4-game losing streak. 3 punts and a fumble, and they have yet to cross midfield.
Well, that does two things. Not only are you obviously not getting any points on the board, the other thing is, while you're just 2 and out like that, your defense is on the field far too long, and in the fourth quarter, that'll catch up to you.
Second and a couple. The fake to Mims is a good one. Jones out of the backfield for Tuipulotu, and Peter Tuipulotu down to the Edmonton 50-yard line. It's Saskatchewan's first down.
What a great play fake by Warren Jones to Robert Mims. You know, the Edmonton defense is going to be keying on Mims because of the last time they played and also the type of season he's having. You see the fake there, and Tuipulotu gets out into the flat. But that had the Edmonton defense sucked right down into thinking Robert Mims had the football.
And it comes as the quarter comes to a close here at Commonwealth Stadium. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 13-0 lead, and this will be the final play of the quarter. Jones slips, and that likely cost him. Derek McCready finishes it off, but Mike Sellers started it for Edmonton. It's the final play of the opening quarter, and it's indicative of the way it went for Saskatchewan. Edmonton with a 13-0 lead. Now let's go back to our CFL Live Control Center.
CFL Live at the quarter. Brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
So in that first quarter of play, the Edmonton Eskimos turned the ball over a couple of times on a fumble, and then you've got the interception by Danny McManus. Saskatchewan can do nothing with it.
And, you know, that's what the whole game, this game is going to be about, because the Saskatchewan offense just hasn't been able to complement a good defensive football team. And if Danny McManus gets a hot hand, you know, Edmonton's liable to blow this game right out of the water.
And I can't believe that Eddie Brown is picking my matchups.
You know what?
That would have been a perfect matchup, though. Robert Hall and Eddie Brown, ex-teammates, that would have been a great matchup. Good job, Eddie. But every time we picked him, Eddie destroyed the guy that I picked to go against him. So I won't go with it.
And you know what? He's looking pretty good in this early matchup, too, with Robert Hall.
Know,
Did you guys catch that sideline shot of Huey Campbell after the touchdown? Nice, pretty pass from Danny McManus. And Huey Campbell's on the telephone. Hey, take a look at this. Now, that's Huey Campbell with a cellular telephone. He's calling Ottawa right there, saying, okay, Danny McManus just threw a nice pass. The deal is off. We don't want Arthur anymore. But, man, how times have changed. There's a general manager standing on the sideline with a cellular telephone and his wife. I'll bet Lou Heyman is just spinning in his grave right now.
Yeah, but you know what, Marty? These are the 90s.
These are the 90s,
right.
yeah.
Polyester's out.
But they always say behind every good man is a good woman, so maybe
That's correct.
The
And
secret of Huey's success is right there on the
And
sideline.
Mrs. Campbell, I've met her on numerous times, and she's a very lovely lady. I don't like Saskatchewan's chances for a comeback via the air against the Edmonton Eskimos. You know how many touchdowns the Eskies have given up during the air? 3.
Best.
3 this year. That's it. That's it, gentlemen. Well, we'll see if the Roughriders can bounce back. Great night for football at Commonwealth Stadium. Let's return to Edmonton, to Gordon Glen for the second quarter of play.
And it's not polyester.
That's why I don't wear it, Marty. I never wear the polyester. Glenn, I don't know. You know what? They just welcomed us here at Commonwealth Stadium, but they spelled Glenn's name wrong on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they got...
See? That'll teach you to play for Saskatchewan.
One last little dig.
Second and long for the Riders from their own 53. Jones is looking deep for Curtis Mayfield. Has the catch at the 15-yard line. Curtis Mayfield comes back to the ball. It's the biggest gain of the game, 38 yards for the Saskatchewan receiver.
Well, when I first saw Curtis Mayfield, he was in Shreveport in that fast break offense. Tremendous speed Mayfield has. Kavis Reed has to respect that speed, turn and run. This is the key to the play right here. He doesn't give away till the last second that he's going to stop and come back to the football. Kavis Reed doesn't have a chance to react.
Curtis Mayfield leads Saskatchewan in receiving and is 7th in the Canadian Football League. From the 15-yard line, they fake to Mims. Jones is under pressure. Gets it away, intercepted. It is picked up, and look out, Kavis Reed. Gone. 105 yards, touchdown. The 4th interception of the year for Kavis Reed, and Edmonton puts the pedal to the metal.
To the right of your screen, the key is Errol Martin. He doesn't get pulled in on the play action fake and then gets out there to get some pressure on Warren Jones. Makes him throw the bad pass. Kavis Reed sees it, picks it off, and then is off to the races. No one can catch Kavis Reed.
First touchdown of his CFL career. And the Edmonton Eskimos lead 19-0 with the point after to come. And I'll bet you he doesn't throw that ball into the stands.
No, I think that one's going right on the trophy case.
John Fleming puts the point after up and good. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 20-0 lead, and the defense is doing the work. Kavis Reed is just 23 years old. He has a touchdown and has given the Edmonton Eskimos a big lead.
He's the intended receiver, Curtis Mayfield here. Here's Kavis Reed right here in the coverage. Mayfield's going to run an out pattern, but you have to throw an out pattern on time. You see, well, actually runs the curl and then breaks to the out. Kavis Reed, if you don't get that ball immediately, he knows that he can break on it and take off, and he does that.
Darian Hagan saw the interception, and as soon as he saw it, he knew Kavis Reed had a chance to take it the other way.
The only guy that could tackle him, Gord, was Warren Jones, and Errol Martin had Warren on the turf.
A 105-yard interception return for a touchdown. The longest interception return of the year. Sean Fleming kicks it off. And this is Curtis Mayfield from his 15-yard line. Mayfield gets around the corner out across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Now, what does Saskatchewan do to control the damage?
First of all, you don't panic. I don't think that Saskatchewan has to panic at this point. Stick with the game plan. Keep handing the ball off to Robert Mims in the right situations and throw the ball deep to your targets. I mean, still a lot of time to play.
You got to be thinking a minute ago they're at the 15-yard line with a chance to pull within 6. Now they're back at their own 43, down 20. The fake to Mims. Here comes the pressure. Jones just gets it away. Flags are down, and Don Narcisse has his first catch down to the Edmonton 52-yard line, but a flag is down, and this will come back.
According to Benny Goods, it'll come back.
And he's right.
He's marching it out. He's stepping out.
Holding, Saskatchewan 51. First down repeated.
Holding is the call against John Terry.
And John Terry, I didn't see the play completely, but I bet you John Terry was blocking Benny Goods, and that's why Benny Goods was so sure it was a holding call.
In his 3rd year in the Canadian Football League, a former Toronto Argonaut. One problem for the Saskatchewan Roughriders has been holding penalties. John James next to him has been flagged 5 times this year. On 1st and 20. Jones dumps it underneath for Robert Mims, and Mims gets back to the original line of scrimmage. He gets to the 43, loses the ball, but they rule him down. A pickup of 9 yards.
Well, Malvin Hunter picked up the ball late there, Gore, but I'm pretty sure they're ruling, obviously, that Mims was on the ground before he fumbled the ball. The ground can't make you fumble, so Robert Mims maybe got away with one there. And that's a pretty good call on 1st down, though. Dump it off, try and get about half of the yardage back and set up 2nd and 10. Here's just at the end of the play and just get a chance to see whether or not he was on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on 2nd down. Jones for Tuipulotu, and Peter Tuipulotu, the former Baltimore Stallion, gets out to the 50-yard line. That'll leave him 3 yards short of a first down. And now the big problem for Saskatchewan, Warren Jones is hurt. Heath Ryland started last week against Montreal but suffered a concussion. The backup is Kevin Mason, who has never thrown a pass in the Canadian Football League.
This does not look good for Warren Jones. He looks like he's in pain holding that shoulder.
Warren Jones' CFL career began right here with the Edmonton Eskimos as the understudy to Damon Allen and Tracy Ham. And now he's on the turf at Commonwealth Stadium. You see Kevin Mason, who was a teammate of Marvin Graves at Syracuse University.
It just seems like it's an open season on quarterbacks this year. A lot of quarterbacks going down throughout the Canadian Football League and taking a pounding from some pretty good defenses.
Well, it's a punting situation for Saskatchewan, so if Jones can return, we'll find out quickly on the next series. And Brent Maddich will be forced to punt again for Saskatchewan. 12:06 to play in the first half. The Edmonton Eskimos lead Saskatchewan 20-0.
Third down, Saskatchewan.
Come on, babe. Come on, Plucky.
And Warren Jones still making his way off the field gingerly. Well, this would be beyond catastrophic for Saskatchewan. And once again, Shalon Baker is back deep to receive the punt as Jim Daly gets a lesson in Murphy's Law at Commonwealth Stadium. Maddich gets a low tumbling kick away. It bounds to Shalon Baker and past him at the 15. Now he stumbles and gets buried back at the 12. A 45-yard punt, no return. Dan Rashovich is down to make the stop. The CFL Live continues right after this. Warren Jones is walking on the Saskatchewan sideline, but hasn't stopped shaking his head after getting thrown down hard by Edmonton defensive lineman Mike Sellers.
Mike Sellers got the pressure on him. Weighs 260 pounds and had his full weight pressure on Warren Jones when he hit the ground. Warren was holding both his hands and his ribs, and his shoulder was also kind of hanging down. So I'm not sure exactly what the injury is, but you see Kevin Mason warming up on the sideline.
So the Saskatchewan defense, which is in the top third of the league, will try to hold Edmonton here. Eric Blunt, and the hardest thing in this league to do is run on Saskatchewan. Second best run defense and only 3 rushing touchdowns allowed by the Green Riders this year.
Great play by LeBrant Robinson there, coming in and getting in the backfield and disrupting that play by Eric Blunt. So far in this football game, that defensive front four for Saskatchewan has dominated the line of scrimmage against this Edmonton offensive line.
Loss of a yard. And Danny McManus, despite the interception, off to a good start. Over the middle, Darren Flutie's open and almost intercepted by the safety, Errol Brown. Errol Brown almost made the catch, as did Darren Flutie.
Well, Errol Brown's playing because Dave Van Bellingham pulled his hamstring against Montreal last week. He almost came up with the interception, but tremendous pressure again on quarterback Danny McManus. I believe it was LeBrant Robinson, top left. He's coming underneath on the stunt. It opens up wide open for him, and he tattoos McManus as he lets go of that football.
Glenn Harper will punt for the first time in the football game. His 33.3-yard net among the lowest in the Canadian Football League. But he's great at angling it out of bounds.
Let him go, let him go.
Great high punt. Mayfield from his own 50. Flags are down, and Mayfield is stopped at the 51-yard line. Rob Weir makes the stop. A 48-yard punt, a return of 9. 10:32 to play in the second quarter. Edmonton with a big lead. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. A huge crowd looking on here today. It seems the Eskimos have its own way so far. And Warren Jones is back in the game for Saskatchewan after being shaken up on the Riders' last possession. Robert Holland was called for an illegal block, so the Riders are backed up to their own 40. This is Robert Mims. Mims gets into the defensive secondary and takes Willie Pless and others for a ride right out to the 50-yard line. and a gain of nearly 10 yards, and some pushing and shoving again breaks out. Robert Mims has had 4 100-yard rushing games for Saskatchewan this year. That's one more than the Riders had in all of last year.
I talked to Robert Mims last week when I was in Regina, and he said, you know what, football's just fun for me again. Sure, and it sure appears that way. When you're having fun and things are working for you, you're going to get some good numbers, and Robert Mims looks like he's back in the glory days in the early 90s when he was with Winnipeg.
Second and short. And Mims with the carry again, and that'll get Saskatchewan a first down up to the 52-yard line.
Well, I tell you now, just watching Robert Mims run the ball, and it just may be me, but I don't think the first guy that's made contact on him all day has made the tackle. He's always made the first guy miss, and he's doing it all year.
Yeah, Ottawa, Edmonton, Toronto, and Montreal have all been the victim of 100-yard Robert Mims games. He led the league with 10 back in 1991. That's a CFL record.
That same year, he was up on the podium, runner-up for outstanding player in the Canadian Football League.
Now the fake to Mims. Jones out to the flat for Tuipulotu, who makes the catch, and then gets ridden down by Grady Cavness. A pickup of a couple of yards, and yes, that is Grady Cavness, the son of the former BC Lion, who played for them for 5 years back in the 1970s. Grady has missed 5 games this year due to injury. The Eskimos delighted to have him back.
Well, Peter Tuipulotu is just going to slip out into the flat. He's right here and slips out into the flat after the play-action fake to Robert Mims. There's the fake, and then makes a nice catch coming out of the backfield.
Oh, the snap goes over Warren Jones' head. Flags are down. Jones is in trouble and down. Dropped at the 36-yard line. There was all kinds of early movement, and we'll see who jumped.
Well, I think it was Malvin Hunter, number 46 for the Edmonton Eskimos. He jumped offside. Now, whether or not he was drawn offside is the question. It looks like they're going to take it all the way back. So it probably...
Offside, Edmonton 46. Second down repeated.
Well, Malvin Hunter's offside saves a loss of 20 yards.
Malvin Hunter got caught in the snap count. He's right up here at the top of the screen. He gets caught in the snap count and jumps forward. Now he's trying to get back, but he loses his balance, and he's in that neutral zone, that 1-yard neutral zone.
Brings up 2nd and 3. Mims has the first down, and then some. Still going. Robert Mims down to the Edmonton 30-yard line. A pickup of 20 yards.
Boy, I tell you, Robert Mims is making people miss down the football field. A lot of Edmonton Eskimo defenders had a shot to tackle him there. You know Ron Lancaster's not happy. They got him. They call the right defense and then miss the tackle. Mims just going to get the straight-off dive play off the right side of that offensive line. Trent Brown has a crack at him right there from the safety position. He misses. Then Malcolm Frank misses. Mims picks up the yardage.
First down from the 30. Play action. Jones looking deep and incomplete. First time he's looked to Rod Harris today. And the pass ball's incomplete.
Well, Warren had Rod Harris open. Trent Brown was trying to cover him from the safety position, but was about 3 yards behind Harris to that corner pattern. Harris has great speed as well, and Warren Jones just couldn't hook it up with him.
Rod Harris over 1,200 yards receiving for Sacramento in both 1993 and 1994.
You know, he was licking his chops there. He hasn't scored a touchdown in a year and a half of football.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Intercepted. Once again, he's picked off, and this time it's Glenn Rogers who has the interception, his 3rd of the year. And Glenn Rogers is being chased off the field by a couple of Saskatchewan players. And the always verbal Mr. Rogers is sure to irritate his opponent.
Well, I talked to Ron Lancaster about Glenn Rogers. He says, you know, yeah, he likes to talk it up on the field, but I tell you what, this year he's, like they say, can walk it like he talks it, because he's having a good year covering, good year at that defensive halfback position, comes up with his 3rd interception.
8th interception that Warren Jones has thrown this season. And Glenn Rogers had an interception in the last meeting. Eric Blunt with the carry gets out to about the 30-yard line, calling a pickup of 6. And the Edmonton Eskimos, like Saskatchewan, can run the ball effectively. Although the Eskimos' running game isn't quite what it used to be. Average is 4.6 yards a carry. That's the worst in the league.
And that man's not happy about it. He wants to get that running game in gear, especially when it starts to get cold.
Now McManus hammers it in there, and Darren Flutie has the catch. And an Edmonton first down, up to the 36-yard line.
What a great catch by Flutie. And again, Flutie doesn't have a pattern to run on that particular play. He just has to head down the field and then decide what defense Saskatchewan is playing and then find the spot he's going to go to. Right now, him and his quarterback, Danny McManus, are definitely on the same page.
8-yard gain for Darren Flutie, his 4th catch of the game. Now on first down, McManus backside looking for Flutie, and it is tipped at the very last second by Greg Battle. Battle got up on the stepladder and knocked that down.
Are they ever happy in Saskatchewan to be able to have a guy like Greg Battle in their lineup? Ron Getz is injured, will be out for a few more weeks before he can return, and then they get Greg Battle, who knows the offensive schemes in the Canadian Football League, takes his drop and knocks that ball down.
Brings up 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. They fake the shovel pass, go to Jerry Collins, first down up at the 53-yard line. Jerry Collins with another key reception for Edmonton.
Jerry Collins, kind of the forgotten man in the Edmonton offense. Collins is right here on your screen. He's going to just slip out of the backfield. He's done it a couple of times tonight, and if a linebacker like Greg Battle doesn't go out there and respect him, he's going to get in behind. You see Greg Battle was looking right back in the backfield. Didn't see Collins get in behind him.
Gain of 16 yards. Fake to Blunt. Danny McManus on his horse looking for Eddie Brown. Brown fights for the ball. It ends up in the hands of Bevel, and Bryce Bevel has the interception. Check that. Robert Holland has it. And now, what are they ruling? Yes, it is a Saskatchewan interception, but there is a flag.
Robert Holland with the interception.
And Ron Lancaster was right there to see it.
Now, I don't even think Ron knows what the flag is. Ron Lancaster didn't even know there was a flag on the field.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan 24. It was after the play, interception stands, first down.
Lancaster was arguing about the fact that he thought that Robert Holland was out of bounds. You see his hamstring is wrapped up there. Holland going to break out with Eddie Brown, and then the fight for the ball begins. Now he's inbounds as we speak, and he has the ball. You only need 1 foot in the Canadian Football League. It looks like that was a good call by the official. Ron Lancaster was arguing that. In the meantime, Donaldson gets the penalty.
Revenge for Robert Holland against his former team. Toasted for a touchdown earlier. He has the interception now. And here comes Robert Mims one more time, out to the 30-yard line.
Pickup of 3 yards.
Pickup of 3.
Derek McCready and Larry Ruck with the tackle for the Eskimos.
Well, if you look at the numbers of Robert Mims so far this season, project him over the rest of the season, he's going to be well over 1,500 yards rushing.
What you got, Finn? Finn?
Now 2nd and 7 for Saskatchewan, Glenn. The Riders have had their moments offensively, but not enough in a row. Jones looking over the middle for Dan Farthing. Farthing makes the catch at the 33-yard line, but well short of a first down, a gain of 5, which begs the question, when you need 8, why throw it 5?
And it's something that the Saskatchewan Roughrider fans have been bothered about throughout this season, is the play calling from the Saskatchewan Roughriders in situations like that. You talked about a 2nd and 8. Dan Farthing comes up 3 yards short.
Third down, Roughriders.
You mentioned it, Gord. If you're going to be in 2nd and 8, throw the ball 10, 12 yards. If it's incomplete, you punt it. If it's not, you got the first down.
Works for me.
Warren Jones doesn't call all his plays. Paul Chris, the offensive coordinator, does. And there's been some criticism as to the play calling and play selection throughout this season.
Brett managed to punt to Shalon Baker and Darian Hagan.
Let him go, let him go.
Bounces down around the 30-yard line. This is Darian Hagan. Hagan up over to the 35-yard line, gets 5 the hard way. And we have reached the 3-minute warning at Commonwealth Stadium. The Edmonton Eskimos with a 20-0 lead on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The CFL Live continues from Commonwealth Stadium right after this.
Closed captioning of this CFL telecast is brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
In his 10th year with Saskatchewan, Dan Rasevich still plays a major role on special teams, and that means a whole lot of this.
It's amazing that after 13 seasons in the CFL, and he's right now got 3 sacks defensively, he's still covering those punts. Big Dan Rasevich working with Jay Hamilton, and it's a fist fight down the field when you're on punt cover team.
You know, I've never done that, but it just doesn't look fun.
No.
Like, that just doesn't look like something I'd like to do.
No, and they'll see each other all game, so that's going to be a good battle.
On first down, Danny McManus has Nick Mazzoli wide open, and a great job by Vincent Donaldson to limit the gain by Nick Mazzoli to about 8 yards.
Well, Vincent Donaldson sort of bailed on the play. He has an interception already today. He kind of bailed, trying to give Nick Mazzoli a different look, disguise the coverage. He took off early. Mazzoli just hooked it up, and McManus hit him, and Vincent Donaldson kept flying up to his short zone.
Now, second and short for the Edmonton Eskimos. 2:30 to play here in the first half. Here's Eric Blunt. Blunt waits, finds the hole, gets the first down as he fights his way out to the 48-yard line. Bobby Jurison comes up to make the stop.
It's an interesting point about the Edmonton running game when I talked to Ron Lancaster about some of the differences, and without a big fullback in there and Tony Burst, how much of a difference or how many changes he's had to make, and he said he hasn't changed a thing. Jerry Collins is a lot lighter than Tony Burst, but has to do the same things that he did in this running attack.
And Eric Blunt is on pace for a 1,200-yard rushing season. McManus under pressure, gets it away and almost intercepted. Threw it right at Greg Battle, who almost had to knock it down in self-defense.
Great battle knocking down that.
I believe it was LeBrant Robinson again applying the pressure on Danny McManus. He's been in the backfield a few times rushing McManus and hit him just as he has released the football. Here he is right here. He's going to get the pressure from the outside on McManus, and offensive left tackle Thomas Raham just didn't even see LeBrant Robinson coming, and I don't know how you can miss him. He's 6'4", 265.
Now on the draw play, the give goes to Eric Blunt, beats Jurison, but doesn't get much more, and Bobby Jurison does a good job just holding him up, and who makes the tackle too but Robert Holland, who has come on in the second quarter with an interception and a big tackle there.
Yeah, well, you know Robert Holland, after getting beat early in the game by Eddie Brown on that deep one for a touchdown, is going to want to come back and make amends for that. He already has with one interception, then it comes up to stall that drive there on the tackle.
Eights are wild, back deep for Saskatchewan. Number 88, Rod Harris, and number 8, Anthony Drawhorn, back deep to receive the kick from Glenn Harper. And a big play from Saskatchewan special teams might help turn things around here.
Well, they need to spark some kind of momentum going into halftime. Be able to come out in the second half and try and get back in this football game.
A lot of Saskatchewan fans here this afternoon, but nothing for them to cheer about so far. This is Anthony Drawhorn from the 15-yard line. Trying the corner. And Drawhorn down at the 15-yard line, a 48-yard punt. Drawhorn ran about 20, but got no yards on the return. And Robert Holland, well, he was an Edmonton Eskimo last year and a flamboyant one, a CFL All-Star for Edmonton back in 1994. He's loud, he's proud, and he's pretty good, too.
Absolutely, he can cover. And I asked Lancaster about what he thought about Robert Holland. He says, well, you know what? I know one thing about him. He'll come up and hit you, and then he'll tell you that he hit you.
Actually, a Saskatchewan teammates say he's been very low-key so far.
You remember Robert Holland from last year had the different color haircut all the time? I asked him about it this year. He said, hey, new team, new look.
Now Warren Jones looking over the top. Mayfield's in behind the coverage. Almost makes the circus catch. Tavis Reed tipped it, and it rolled up the chest of Curtis Mayfield, who almost made what would have been the catch of the year.
Well, that would have been one of those that you catch it when you're lying on your back, and if it wasn't for Trent Brown coming across all the way from the middle of the football field, he may come up with it. I mean, here's the ball go up in the air. Now Curtis Mayfield gets his hand on it here. Now it hits his knees, rolls down his body, and if Trent Brown doesn't knock it out right there, that's a catch.
That's a great play. That's 3 guys making a great play. But it's 2nd and 10. High snap again to Jones. And look out, he is buried. Benny Goods gets him again. His 6th sack of the year.
Last 2 years, all Canadian. The CFL's had 14 sacks last year, 9 sacks the year before. This guy's just a pure pass rusher. Here's Benny Goods right here. Let's follow his pass rush. And he goes inside first, working on Paul Vida. Keeps working at it, keeps working at it. Ends up in the backfield.
Now Brent Maddich will retreat to his end zone with 1:12 to play in the first half and punt it away. Good field position coming for Edmonton. Here comes the rush. Flags are down. Willie Pless almost got to it. Here's Shalon Baker dropping the football and just falls on it at the 48-yard line. A 46-yard punt and a stumbling return of 3. Holding, though, looked to be the call against Saskatchewan as Willie Pless was simply collared as he tried to come in to block that punt. And there's Ray Elgard talking to Dave Ewell. First time we've mentioned Ray Elgard's name today.
Holding, Saskatchewan 32. 3rd down repeated.
So Tuipulotu is called for the hold.
Peter Tuipulotu was the personal protector. That's the guy that's way back. The personal protector. He's the guy that's back. He's back here protecting the punter right here. Now, he's the guy, the last line of defense. Willie Pless gets inside him on the move, and he has to grab Pless, or Pless blocks that punt.
He's the personal protector.
Personal protector to the punter.
Wow. Well, if nothing else, it's alliterative. Try saying that 3 times fast. Peter Tuipulotu is the personal protector for the punter. Yikes.
I'm glad you tried it, because I certainly wasn't going to.
Your turn. Now Maddich. Back to try it again. And Edmonton lines up 11. And Maddich is going to give up the safety. And Maddich gets a bit of a shove from Bruce Dixon. So, Saskatchewan decides to give up 2. And now we'll have to kick off to Edmonton.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think it's that bad of a decision. I mean, 20 points or 22 points for Jim Daly. Not a big difference, but I tell you what, if they do punt from their own end zone, Edmonton gets the ball on Saskatchewan's side of the field. All of a sudden, with 55 seconds left in the half, there's still a good chance.
And Bruce Dixon says, "Hey, Brett, you like that buffet? Hey, kicker boy, you like that buffet? Yeah, here's your buffet." Right there, buddy.
Oh, hey, when they get a chance to hit the kicker, you know they're going to give it their best shot.
Saskatchewan number 10. Penalties declined. Safety touch.
So Dan Farthing called for holding, but that's declined, and now Saskatchewan will kick it. Speaking of Saskatchewan kickers, Dave Ridgway honored last week at Taylor Field. You were there for a very emotional day.
It was emotional. I mean, Dave, the jersey was retired. I flew in. Ridgway didn't have any idea that I was going to be there, kind of a surprise for him, and it was emotional for both him and I. He, of course, deserved to have his jersey retired. When I walked around the corner, just before I came out there, he had said to some of the equipment guys, you know, I really wish my buddy Suter could be here. As soon as he said that, I heard about that. It was kind of emotional for me as well.
Interesting, too, that Saskatchewan thought so much of you, Glenn, that when you retired, they waited about 3 weeks to give your number out to Robert Mims.
Well, you know, that's why he's having a good year. He's got the good number.
Here comes Darian Hagan on the kickoff return. Flags are down, and Hagan gets out to the 40-yard line. A return of 26 yards. 50 seconds to go now in the first half.
Well, not a bad decision for Jim Daly and Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, they were definitely in trouble of giving up 7 points had Edmonton be able to take possession on their side of the field. But now Jim Daly is going to look at a 22-point deficit likely when he goes back into the halftime break and come out and try and rally the troops. Edmonton gets a holding penalty on the kick to force it back further.
Just Edmonton's second penalty of the football game, and this Edmonton team has been concentrating heavily, shall we say, on reducing the number of penalties. And there's the man who's making them concentrate on it.
Yeah, he definitely will not tolerate having the penalties, especially the after the whistle penalties.
McManus from the shotgun. That wide side out has it complete to Nick Mazzoli, and Vincent Donaldson gives him a shot. And look at the talking after the play. These teams really do hate each other, don't they?
Now there's no love lost.
Now, when you played for Saskatchewan, was Edmonton the big rivalry or Winnipeg?
Absolutely. In the 1989 season when we won the Grey Cup, it was the Western Final in Commonwealth Stadium right here that I think was our favorite victory of the whole season, was to beat Edmonton the year they had here in Edmonton. The rivalry has been there ever since
They were 16-2 that year. The give goes to Blunt. Blunt will be close to a first down as he gets out to the 34-yard line. 40 seconds to go in the opening half.
Well, he does pick up the first down, and that's
Picks up 2 yards.
say lucky for the Edmonton Eskimos, but had they had to punt the ball there, now Saskatchewan has a chance to get some points before the end of the half, but as it turns out, Edmonton will likely be able to end this half with a football.
McManus from the shotgun on first down, looking up over the middle and almost intercepted. That ball hit Bryce Bevel. And that would have been the third interception of the game for Danny McManus, but there is a flag. And it's against Saskatchewan. 27 seconds to go in the first half.
Major foul, face mask, Saskatchewan 22. First down.
Robert Holland is called for the face mask. Costly penalty for Saskatchewan.
It's the penalties that the Saskatchewan coaching staff and Jim Daly have they told me they've had enough of these penalties. Looks like they're getting more of them, but Daly hates some unnecessary penalties. The rough play, the hits after the whistle, the face masking kind of penalties. Penalties that discipline. If you just play disciplined football, you won't get those kind of penalties.
9 penalties in the first half for Saskatchewan. McManus wants to set up the screen pass and does for Jerry Collins, who got a great block, but it was probably illegal. Collins gets down across the 50 to the 49, a gain of 12, but there was that gentle push in the back, and you can't do that.
Whether it's gentle or aggressive, it's in the back, it's still a penalty.
Ouch. Dave Ewell just got headbutted by Bobby Jurison.
Okay, well, is he going to tell us or not?
Illegal block, Edmonton 56. First down repeated.
Ed Cousy, the Edmonton native who played his college football at Arizona, gets called for the push in the back. Actually played for the Alberta Golden Bears for Tom Wilkinson before he went down to Arizona on the transfer.
You're going to see it just at the end of the play right there to the...
That was a full two-hander right there.
Right in front of Eric Blunt. There's no question that is a penalty.
And now Edmonton will simply run out the clock and take a 22-0 lead to the dressing room at the half. So lots of strategy here in the final minute of this first half. A safety surrendered, and Edmonton decides to sit on that 22-0 lead.
Well, I think when Edmonton first got the ball with 55 seconds left, Ron Lancaster thought he had a chance to get it at least into field goal range. But now with around 12, 13 seconds left, only bad things can happen.
He saw Bryce Bevel almost intercept that pass.
That's right.
Let's get home and cooled out. So the Edmonton Eskimos take advantage of Saskatchewan turnovers and score a defensive touchdown of their own. 22-0. Edmonton leads Saskatchewan at Commonwealth Stadium. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, the CFL Live. I'm Gord Miller along with Glenn Suter on a beautiful day in north central Alberta, as they used to call it when I was growing up here. 22-0. Edmonton leads Saskatchewan in a first half that saw both quarterbacks struggle a little bit. Danny McManus threw some early interceptions, leads the league in that category, but his team did not pay for. An early fumble and then 2 interceptions. Warren Jones threw a couple of interceptions and saw Robert Mims fumble the ball as well, but Warren Jones has passed for just 86 yards in the opening half. And as I mentioned earlier, in 7 games this year, Saskatchewan has but 2 singles in the third quarter. That's a remarkable statistic.
Yeah, so if they get their average at the end of this quarter, it'll be 22 for Edmonton, 0.2 for Saskatchewan.
And the Riders will kick it off to Edmonton to start this second half. Big crowd here at Commonwealth Stadium, and as I mentioned earlier, a lot of Saskatchewan fans here, but not much for them to cheer about so far. And Frank Jagus kicks it off. This is Darian Hagan at his own 12-yard line. And Hagan gets himself out to the 37-yard line. Brooks Findlay comes up to help make the stop, and that's where the Edmonton offense will go to work in this second half. Danny McManus was the CFL's second leading passer last year, 4,655 yards, a career high. So were his 19 touchdown passes.
You know, McManus, when you look at those numbers, yes, he has thrown more interceptions than any quarterback in the Canadian Football League, but his ratio isn't as bad as a couple of them. I mean, you look at Warren Jones, he's thrown 2 touchdowns, and now tonight 8 interceptions, and then Ken Austin also coming in this game had 9 interceptions and only 4 touchdowns.
Here's Eric Blunt. Great move by Eric Blunt, and he should have a first down. Ernie Brown makes the stop, but Eric Blunt showed him inside and went outside.
Well, this is what makes Eric Blunt so great, is his ability to cut on a dime. I mean, he came up into the line on that play, and then just like on a dime bounces back to the outside. Right here, he comes up in there. That gets Dan Rasevich down inside, and then bounces it to the outside. Great, tremendous quickness at the point of attack. Eric Blunt.
We'll call it a pickup of 10. He's very close to a first down. Just comes up inches short. On the long grass here at Commonwealth Stadium. The turf here is quite thick, and the grass is very long. And they used to say that was gizmo grass here for Henry Williams with those high chopping strides. He hasn't played a game yet this year, but you gotta love football on grass, don't you?
You know what? I used to hate it as the visiting team coming in, but I sure love to sit here and do a game. It's a great
stadium. The Edmonton
stadium.
Eskimos truly believe that this field has prolonged a lot of careers. And one of the reasons they don't sustain major bouts of injuries is that they play their home games on grass.
I think I hated it just because we got beat every time we were here.
The Eskimos dive straight ahead and should have the first down.
McManus keeps the ball. First down Eskimos.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Henry the Gizmo Williams, and mostly whispering. This is the guy who will go to the CFL Hall of Fame when he retires, but there are questions about maybe he's played his last game for Edmonton. 23 career punt return touchdowns in all, 47 touchdowns for the Gizmo. He has not played yet, and may not again. Now the Statue of Liberty play. Eric Blunt gets strung outside, runs into his own man and gets buried.
Blunt, the ball carrier again.
He was getting chased, but it was when he collided with Ed Cousy that the play really fell apart.
I was going to say, Ed Cousy gets credit for the tackle. Greg Battle's over there flowing to the ball and trying to help out, but it was actually Ed Cousy that ends up coming up with it. I mean, it's just the old Statue of Liberty. Here comes Blunt to the outside. Now, he gets the move on Battle to bump him to the outside. You see exactly what Greg Battle was looking at. He comes up, beats the block there by Cousy originally. Blunt gets outside of him, and then Cousy's the one who tackles him.
Now McManus looking for Jerry Collins, who is being covered by linebacker Tommy Smith. The pass falls incomplete, and Edmonton will have to punt. Give the Saskatchewan defense credit. This is a team that's held Edmonton offensively to a touchdown and 2 field goals.
Well, they have been playing well defensively all year. I sat down and had a chat with Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator, and Jim Daly before the game started, and he said, you know, we're pretty happy with the play of our defense. We held the Calgary Stampeders the last time we played to under 300 yards passing, and we've had Hamilton when they had Matt Dunnigan to under 300 yards passing. So we're pretty happy with that. We're just letting the 1 or 2 big plays get by us.
Glenn Harper with the punt that rolls out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 28-yard line. A 37-yard kick, no return. Just underway in the second half. Edmonton leads by 22. Saskatchewan has the ball, but Warren Jones has the headset on. He has been replaced here in the second half by Kevin Mason, a 22-year-old native of Buffalo, New York. played at Syracuse. The give goes to Robert Mims, and Mims gets out to the 33-yard line. A pickup of 4 yards. Well, Robert Mims will have to get it down along the ground. Kevin Mason is an excellent running quarterback as well. He was third on his team in rushing in his senior year. But this is his first action in the Canadian Football League. Remember, the normal backup, Heath Rylands, out this week with a concussion. And now Mason to throw. It's a one-hopper as he looked to the far side to Don Narcisse. He was going to make sure that Kavis Reed wouldn't catch that one.
That's the first pass for Kevin Mason in a game in the Canadian Football League. Looks out to his left from the right hash mark, tries to throw the hitch pass and realizes it's a 40-yard throw.
Yeah.
And one hops it to Don Narcisse.
It's 2 9-irons out there. Well, Mason was with the Oakland Raiders for a time last year. And as I mentioned earlier, was a teammate of Marvin Graves at Syracuse. And there'll be a lot of questions in Saskatchewan this week about what's going on with the quarterbacking situation. Brent managed to punt. Good high kick. Shalon Baker from his 23-yard line. Baker spins away. Great return out to the 42-yard line for Shalon Baker, second in the league in punt return yards. That time he gets 19. Saskatchewan, promotional considerations provided by the Radisson Hotel Saskatchewan, a grand old hotel in the heart of downtown Regina. And yes, there are some Rider fans here. The Green Flags are here. They usually get about 10 or 12 buses. Fans from Lloydminster and Saskatoon come to Commonwealth Stadium, and there have been some great battles over the years at Commonwealth Stadium between the Eskimos and the Green Riders. On first down, Danny McManus is under pressure. Flags are down. McManus has Shalon Baker wide open. And Terrell Ulmer with the suplex wrestling move on Shalon Baker. But holding is the call against Edmonton. It'll negate a 32-yard pickup. That's pretty good. Just saw that in the Olympics.
Edmonton number 55. First down repeated.
Thomas Rayam, the former Birmingham Barracuda, picked up by Edmonton in the dispersal draft, is called for holding. Well, Danny McManus has spread the ball around quite a bit this afternoon. Darren Flutie with 4 catches. Shalon Baker and Nick Mazzoli with 3 each. Eddie Brown has 2, one of them for a touchdown, and Jerry Collins also has a couple.
Boy, everyone involved in that passing game.
You and I are the only guys who don't have one.
That's how you keep the team happy.
Now the screen pass for Eric Blunt. Great blocks in front of him. Blunt brings it back in and is brought down just short of the original line of scrimmage. It's a pickup of 9 yards. And now Eric Blunt with a catch. So that's 6 different receivers now for Danny McManus.
Well, Eric Blunt went in the huddle and said, wait a minute.
Did you see that graphic?
I saw the monitor, and the monitor showed that I had got a catch yet. My turn.
You know what? You are truly a TV guy now. Last year you would have called it a television. Now you call it a monitor.
You guys are rubbing off on me.
You don't turn up the sound anymore. You turn up the audio. We've created a monster. 2nd and 11. McManus with time, but overthrows the intended target, Darren Flutie. And Danny McManus got buried on the play by Troy Alexander, an Edmonton native, playing in front of friends and family.
Yeah, not Danny McManus's fault. Troy Alexander, 6 foot 250. He hammered Danny McManus just as he was throwing that ball, and that's why it took off and flew high. McManus just could not step up and throw it. Alexander lowered the boom. Last year's rookie nominee for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the Rookie of the Year.
Their first round pick in '95 out of Eastern Washington.
Quick release!
And Glenn Harper will punt to Anthony Drawhorn. You know, Saskatchewan can get right back in this football game. It's only a 22-point lead. Glenn Harper to Rod Harris at his 20. And look at Rod Harris. Breaking Looking through the middle. Ron Harris gets out to the 50-yard line. Finally tracked down by Jerry Collins. A 49-yard punt. A return of 31. And maybe that's the spark the Riders were looking for.
Well, you look back in 1994, Ron Harris led the CFL in punt returns with over 800. He knows what to do when he gets his hand on the football, and if anything gives a spark to this Saskatchewan Roughrider football team, this has got to be it, the big punt return. Now offensively, Saskatchewan has to take advantage of it.
And Kevin Mason remains in at quarterback for Saskatchewan. He'll throw on first down. And has a completion to Tuipulotu up at the midfield stripe. Tuipulotu will have a gain of 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Mason has to learn to take a little bit off of that throw. I mean, Tuipulotu just came out of the backfield, kind of hooked up. You see him smiling there. He comes up with a great catch because Mason threw that one. I mean, he fired that ball in there.
Tuipulotu, 4 catches for 31 yards in this football game. 2nd and 5. Draw play to Robert Mims. Mims has the first down. Flags are down. And Mims gets down to the 44-yard line.
Well, Gord, you mentioned John James, left guard for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, had a few holding calls coming in. What was it, 5?
5.
Well, I think he just got number 6.
No, I don't know. I think it's Edmonton.
Offside. Edmonton 46. Penalties declined.
Well, I apologize to John James profusely. He's 300 pounds.
Yeah. He'll turn you into a quarter. An 11-yard pickup on the draw play, well executed by Saskatchewan. Now into Edmonton territory at the 44-yard line.
Although I will qualify my statement by saying he got away with one because he definitely was holding in the play.
Here comes Mims again. Oh, man, Robert Mims got hit by about 8 guys.
And it took all 8 to get him down. I mean, the first guy that has hit Robert Mims on every single running play has not been able to bring him down. He makes the first guy either completely miss him or he runs right over him. Robert Mims is running hard and paying the price for it because 8 Edmonton Eskimos end up bringing him down here. Benny Goods had a shot of him. Larry Ruck had a shot of him. Finally, the gang tackle gets him down.
2 touchdowns last week for Mims against the Montreal Alouettes. He'd love to get one here. 2nd and long. Mason slips. Flags are down. Mason over the top. Dan Farthing wide open. Touchdown. But it's coming back. It would be a 42-yard touchdown. But you can bet it's holding Saskatchewan. And it is. It wipes out what would have been Saskatchewan's first third-quarter touchdown of the season.
And I believe it's going to be Keith Hiscox who gets the holding call. Number 59, he's the one who actually, I believe, tackles Benny Goods on the play.
Well, the 10th penalty of the football game cost Saskatchewan dearly. The Riders are backed up to their own 52-yard line. Now 2nd and 18. They fake the draw. Here comes the run. Lots of room to run. No one to throw to. And look out, he gets buried. Seymour Mobley puts the finishing touches on Kevin Mason, who gets back to the 45-yard line. And Brent Matic will have to punt.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Mason does a pretty good job just to survive because Jed Roberts comes in untouched. He has a crack at him, gets outside of Roberts, and now he does not a bad job. He has a chance to look downfield. No one can get open for him. Finally, Willie Pless and Errol Martin bring him down.
Well, disappointment for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They thought they had a touchdown, but it's called back. Baker and Hagan are back deep for Edmonton. advantage. Hits it off the side of his foot, but a pretty good kick. Out of bounds at the Edmonton 9-yard line. That's where Danny McManus will start. It would have been Dan Farthing's first touchdown catch of the year. It would have been the first touchdown pass of Kevin Mason's career. But,
and it may have got him back in the football game, but Keith Hiscox, number 59, right there working on Benny Goods. You see him right here in your screen. He is doing the old tackle job. But I tell you what, with 7 games experience, that's this year for Hiscox, he's up against a pretty good one.
Yeah, no kidding. And Kevin Mason got some pretty good air on that football, but he might have known. And so Keith Hiscox, the native of Ottawa, who played at Simon Fraser, gets called for the hole, and it brings back the touchdown. And that's the first time he's been on national TV, and it isn't always the way.
Yeah, oh yeah. And don't think those offensive linemen don't mention it before games when we're just walking around chatting to them. Hey, the only time you mention me is when I get a holding penalty.
First down, look out, Danny McManus is in trouble, and Dan Rashovich gets him. This Saskatchewan defense has been tough all day, and they sack Danny McManus.
Dan Rasovich.
Oh, they're giving him different looks. That time Dan Rasovich came up from his linebacker position. He's right here on the bottom of the line, and he takes off. Just one too many for the Edmonton Eskimos offensive line to cover. They can't get out there in time. And Rasovich comes up with the sack.
Only the 8th sack the Edmonton Eskimos have allowed this year, second fewest in the Canadian Football League. Now backed up to their own 3-yard line. It may be up to the Saskatchewan defense to score some points. McManus, quick drop, and incomplete, looking for Shalon Baker. Now the Edmonton Eskimos will be forced to punt, and Saskatchewan should get excellent field position if they don't block the kick. Vincent Donaldson, number 24 for Saskatchewan, is a specialist. He's blocked 2 punts in his career.
Yeah, some guys just have a knack. You think of
Les Brown.
Les Brown.
Les Brown was very good at it.
Scott Flego.
Andre Francis was very good at it.
Andre Francis was another one. Scott Flego was a safety in Ottawa for a while. He's another one.
James Zachary was great at blocking field goals.
That's right. Just have a knack for timing it up and extending at the right time. Vincent Donaldson's one of those guys.
They got 10 men up. Harper gets it away. It's a good kick. Here comes Harris from the 52-yard line. Rod Harris dragged down quickly at the 45. Jed Roberts got down very quickly to make the stop. Well, he's been a forgotten man in this game. Don Narcisse does not have a catch yet. His consecutive game streak is at 151. And holding.
And he's got to be a little concerned because Kevin Mason is the quarterback now, and you know, with Warren Jones in there, he knows he's going to get a lot of footballs thrown his way, but he's not sure what Kevin Mason's going to do. He wants to keep that streak alive.
He's caught a pass in every game he's played in the Canadian Football League. On first down, they fake the draw to Mims. He's under pressure, and down goes Mason. Benny Goods was there, and so was Singor Mobley, number 27. Mobley gets his 4th sack of the year.
Ron Lancaster really happy with the play of Singor Mobley. Was a strong safety when he played at Washington State. Only about 180 pounds, 5'11", but he's strong enough to be able to stop the run. And he's going to come in on the blitz from his linebacker position right there from the right of the screen, and Mason had no chance.
A loss of 11 yards. Here they come again. They set up the receiver screen for Mayfield. And Mayfield gets maybe a yard, which begs the question, Glenn.
You know what?
If you need 21 yards, why throw it 1?
I'm
joking. I don't mean to second guess the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but I mean, that's a question that defensive people would ask.
Gordon, and I agree with you 100%, especially when it comes to this football team. I watched them last week in their loss to Montreal, and on a 3rd down and 3 gamble in a crucial situation in the game, they ran the hitch pass for 1 yard. And, you know, right now Paul Christ is doing the play calling for Saskatchewan, and just have to come up with more imagination. A hitch pass on 2nd and long is not a good call.
Shalon Baker from the 11-yard line, and Baker just got tripped up. Dan Rashovich, we mentioned him before, plays all those special teams, got down and tripped him up. So Danny McManus brings this offense on, and you know what they're talking about in Edmonton these days? They're talking about Labor Day. It's coming up not too long from now, and that's how you judge how good your football team is in Alberta. Edmonton plays host to Hamilton next week, then goes to Calgary on Labor Day Monday, and then home here to Calgary on the Friday after. And then they'll see how good their football team is. Ron Lancaster told me today he thinks Calgary has the best team in the league. Danny McManus, a one-hopper looking for Nick Mazzoli.
Oh, Nick Mazzoli did the good sell job.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he tried to sell the officials right there, even though it bounced 4 yards in front of him, that it was a catch. And now he's arguing his story. And he was like, hey, wait a minute, I had that one.
You gotta have the guts of a burglar to argue that one, unless it was a lateral. But I don't think it was a lateral. You gotta give him credit for the fight, though.
Oh, I tell you what.
Nick Mazzoli never quits. Those Simon Fraser guys never quit, eh, Glenn?
You gotta love them.
Even when they should, they don't. Second down, McManus wants to go deep to Eddie Brown, goes short to Shalon Baker instead, and that pass almost picked off by Tommy Smith, who's been all around the ball today.
I'll tell you, the Saskatchewan defense has done everything in their power so far to keep this team in the football game and give Saskatchewan a chance to get back into it. Right now, it's up to the offense to put some points on. They can only do so much. I mean, Jim Daly looks at the defense has been pretty good so far and can't seem to generate any points.
And we'll see what Harrison Drawhorn can do with this kick from Glenn Harper. High kick, not very deep. Harris from midfield, flags are down, that'll be no yard. Oh, and Harris gets thrown down by Jed Roberts. And look out, there's some foul language being used down on the Edmonton bench.
I believe it was Rob Weir that was inside the 5-yard restraining zone on the punt, but the Edmonton Eskimos are arguing that he was pushed into that 5-yard zone.
Rob Weir had a pretty good game against Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, recovered 2 fumbles.
There was no infraction on the play. First down.
Well, I guess.
Boy, he should be happy. And he's probably pushed into the 5-yard area. Jed Roberts always has played well for Edmonton on special teams.
Well, you got the old Ole there to get down and cover the punt. Always a good special teams player, but it's a little tougher tonight because he's got to play on defense as well, on the defensive line.
Riders start at the Edmonton 48-yard line. Mason gets it out, and the streak goes on. Don Narcisse makes the catch. His one earlier was wiped out by penalty. That is now 152 consecutive games with a catch for Don Narcisse as he improves on his CFL record.
You know, you look at that record, some may say, well, you know, what kind of record is that? It's not a real huge thing, but I'll tell you what, for him to even show up in that many consecutive games is a big thing for any player, and then you throw in the fact that this guy also happens to have 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Yeah, I'd say
that too is a record. Robert Mims on first down, not much doing there. Willie Bless got him high. Melvin Hunter got a blow, and the game is a couple.
Well, he's second in the league, Don Narcisse, in consecutive all-time 1,000-yard seasons. The guy who's ahead of him is Ray Elgard with 8, but that's not consecutive. Narcisse's 7 1,000-yard seasons is consecutive.
Exactly. And Tom Scott, the guy who knows a thing or two about that, the all-time leader. Mason under pressure, won't get anywhere, and they call that in the grass.
Ooh. Wow.
They call that a sack. And I believe they'll give that to Akaba Delaney, number 92, or Glenn Rogers Jr., but it's a huge play because it may take Saskatchewan out of field goal range. It's a 9-yard loss.
Akaba Delaney in the lineup with the injury situation for Edmonton. Here comes the pressure, and Glenn Rogers, 26, is underneath. Here comes Akaba Delaney. He gets a shot. Benny Goods does. Well, I don't know. Here's another look at it. This is the grass rule. Right there is where the whistle was blown. Now, the officials want to protect the quarterbacks. I understand that, but that was awfully quick.
Second and a bunch. Mason throws it to Tuipulotu, who gets 10 of the 20 they needed. And no, he does not even get that, because the official comes in and says, no, he trapped him. Now, third down. And it looks like Jim Daly may have to punt once more. Or will Jagas try a long field goal?
Third down, Saskatchewan.
It would be a 53-yard field goal try. Brett Matic will punt.
No, yeah, they're going to have to punt, try and keep the field position. And the way the Saskatchewan defense has been playing, Daly, of course, figures that he's going to get the ball back. But
you know, I worked the sidelines for a long time in the Canadian Football League, and I did a lot of Saskatchewan games. The defensive players would come off very frustrated that they had played very well, and the offense hadn't taken advantage. And you were part of that defense for Saskatchewan.
it's frustrating. You have to keep in the back of your mind that there is games that your offense carries you, but I'll tell you what, in Saskatchewan, it's been a long time since the offense has outscored opposing teams.
Darian Hagan takes this kick, very returnable out to the 32-yard line. The ball came down sideways and low, and Hagan was almost gone. 25 seconds to go in the third quarter. Edmonton continues to enjoy a 22-0 lead. And Danny McManus fits the profile of a right-handed quarterback.
Certainly does, and it's a little bit surprising, other than the fact that Bryce Bevel is a rookie. He plays the defensive left halfback, so that might be something that Danny McManus saw in the scouting report and decided that he wanted to come and try and exploit. But at the corner on that side is Vincent Donaldson, who's an all-pro.
Were you conscious of right-handed or left-handed quarterbacks?
Absolutely. You always see what their tendencies are, and they're right-handed. You try and put the defense out there.
Eric Blood gets buried by LeBrant Robinson. And we'll have time for one more play in this third quarter. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, barring an interception for a touchdown or something like that, will continue to have just 2 points total in the third quarter this year. That is one of the more remarkable statistics we've come across this season. Jim Daly might want to put some more spice in the halftime talk.
Yeah, like, okay, we score or there's going to be some pink slips.
McManus over the top and incomplete, looking for Nick Mazzoli. So the pass falls incomplete, and the third quarter comes to an end. Edmonton continues to lead by a score of 22-0. The CFL Live continues in just a moment. Right now, let's send it back to Darren Detition at our CFL Live Control Center.
CFL Live at the Quarter, brought to you by Gillette's $250,000 Triple Play Challenge at a retailer near you.
I tell you, the Saskatchewan Roughriders do not have a lot to smile about in this football game. One of the bright spots, though, you have to love the rushing of Robert Mims. He is arguably the comeback player of the year in the Canadian Football League. He goes hard.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that's the one thing they have that they've had all season. I think this game's true to form going into the game. Both of these teams, their strengths of their teams right now, personnel-wise, are their defenses. Edmonton's only averaging 24 points a game on offense, and tonight they've got 9 points on special teams, or an interception, a turnover, and then the safety. And, you know, they're not doing a whole lot on offense either, but Saskatchewan just can't score any points.
Who'd have thought it'd be this bad, though? I mean, Saskatchewan, you thought they'd be able to move the ball a little bit. Not at all.
But good defenses are good teams, period. They capitalize on turnovers, which we've been seeing all week long, and all week last week, too. Edmonton had 3 turnovers, and they came out with points, 14 points on it. Saskatchewan had 3 turnovers, and they got nothing. You know, that's got to be really frustrating for a defense.
I'd be interested to know when the last time there were no points in a CFL quarter. I don't think that happens very often in this league. And let's face it, the people like CFL football because offense, that's what sells, and it's not going so well. Let me tell you a little bit about Kevin Mason, who replaced Warren Jones. He completed 56.1% of his passes at Syracuse. He played behind Marvin Graves until his final year, and he did a good job there. He's a pretty good quarterback. I said earlier that I thought a lot of people could play better than Warren Jones. I think Kevin Mason is one of them.
Well, it's hard to argue that. Warren Jones with 2 touchdowns in 7 football games. I mean, in the Canadian Football League, it's almost unheard of. Let's return to lovely Commonwealth Stadium in Gordon Glen.
Thanks, guys. Ray Elgard, the CFL's all-time leading receiver. This is his 16th consecutive game without catching a touchdown pass. His last touchdown reception was on September the 3rd against Winnipeg last year. He caught 2 against Winnipeg.
And Gord, I've been watching him a little bit in this game. He is getting open. He's just not getting the football.
And does not have a catch in this game. A one-hopper to Glenn Harper. Good kick, though. Anthony Drawhorn from his own 37-yard line. And he gets out to about the 45, and Jed Roberts got down there again. Edmonton's all-time leader in special teams tackles makes another stop. Here are the numbers through 3 quarters of play.
8 yards.
Each team had just 1 first down in that third quarter, and the net yards 229 to 142. Edmonton has scored 14 points, as you note, off Saskatchewan turnovers. It's just hard to believe that Ray Elgaard comes into this game, though, Glenn, with 11 catches for 100 yards and no touchdowns.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about in the opening. I mean, Warren Jones just hasn't been able to distribute that football across the board to all his weapons. Ray Elgaard, definitely a weapon. He's not being used.
Well, Robert Mims dives ahead on short yardage play. Check that, Tui Pelotu dives ahead. He doesn't get the ball very much as a ball carrier. That's only his 10th carry of the season.
That would be Peter Tuipulotu.
No, but he does a super job of blocking and an excellent job out of the backfield. He has great hands for a running back.
Hurry up offense here for Saskatchewan. And Mason has room to run. Across midfield and down to the Edmonton 52-yard line. Kevin Mason has the first down for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you know, our panel was talking, and Marty York was talking about Kevin Mason, and he's a pretty good quarterback, and I agree with Marty in this respect, in that you can only get better than what Warren Jones has produced for this team so far this season. Heath Rylance came into the first half against Montreal, did a pretty good job, but Warren's just not getting it done.
Mason for Ron Harris, left, trying to make his move on Kavis Reed. That limits the gain to 5 yards. And Saskatchewan remains in the hurry-up offense. How unusual is this? A guy playing in his first game in the hurry-up offense.
Well, you know he doesn't have the whole play selection at his fingertips, so it's probably pretty limited. That way it's easier to call at the line of scrimmage.
Now the pump fake, they go back to Tui Pelotu, and he has the catch and should have a first down at the Edmonton 42-yard line.
That's exactly what I'm
6-yard gain.
Sorry, guys, that's exactly what I'm talking about with Tui Pelotu. That was a very tough catch. The ball was right down by his shoestrings, went down, picked it up off the Commonwealth turf, and picked up the yardage.
5th catch for 37 yards for Peter Tui Pelotu. And this is Robert Mims, and Mims dives across the 40 and down to the 37-yard line. A pickup of 4 yards.
Well, just to get back quickly to that quarterback situation for Saskatchewan, Heath Rylance had a good first half against Montreal, went 9 for 15, 184 yards. The coaching staff was happy with him, and also Eric White is in Saskatchewan now.
Now Mason from the shotgun, stands in there, and how did he thread that into Dan Farthing? Dan Farthing was wearing Larry Ruck like a sweater, and he still managed to fire it in there.
Unbelievable catch by Farthing. You're right, Gord. Larry Ruck did the perfect drop to the left of your screen, 47. He's right there, and Farthing comes up with the catch.
That was a serious throw by Kevin Mason. That ball had eyes. First down, Saskatchewan. Lots of room for Mason to run if he chooses to. He throws back across the middle. Has it there for Mayfield, down to the 14-yard line. Another first down after a gain of 12.
Well, how about Kevin Mason? I mean, he's doing a pretty nice job. Pretty good poise in the pocket, scrambling both ways. You see the play action fake, then he takes off. And how about this? Throws on the run, not bad. Across his body over the middle and hits Mayfield right on the number.
And there's an injured Edmonton Eskimo. It's Derek McCready. You see the pad on his right arm, but they're checking, it looks like, the other arm. And the Edmonton Eskimos, of course, lost Glenn Scribner early in the season. He's been sitting here watching the game with us, actually. And injuries starting to mount up, too. The Edmonton Eskimos dress 7 defensive linemen for every game. But Errol Martin and Jed Roberts play primarily on special teams and do an excellent job.
Well, Errol Martin is like the perfect guy for Ron Lancaster to have. He can play on the defensive line. Last year he played a little free safety. 79's right here, and we can just follow him, see what happens to him. I think he twisted his ankle as he went down. Right.
I don't know, right there? Hard to say.
It was hard to say. It would probably take another look at his.
Yeah, right there. He locked heels with somebody.
Twisted his ankle right there. If you can see, that hits the turf, rolls over on that ankle a little bit. Plus, he's got the sore arm, so.
Kind of a rotten day for Derek McCready.
Derek McCready needs the rest.
First down, Saskatchewan from the Edmonton 14-yard line. The fake to Mims. Mason on the run. Steps out of bounds at about the 11-yard line. Call it a gain of 4.
Well, you never know what a rookie quarterback's ever going to do, the decisions he's going to make on the field. That time, Kevin Mason did the nice play-action fake, got outside, but he did the right thing and the smart thing. Don't try and force it in there. Saw an interception earlier by Warren Jones that went all the way back for the touchdown on a similar play. Instead of trying to force it, takes what he can and gets out of bounds, and then will line up in second down.
Here's the jinx at Edmonton. The last time the Saskatchewan Roughriders were shut out was by Edmonton here in 79 rather. It was Edmonton's last shutout.
Oh, you want it? You jinxed them.
Second down. Mason wants the quarterback draw. Slipped on the turf. Touchdown! Kevin Mason. Saskatchewan's on the board. And who knows? Maybe a star is born.
Well, I tell you what, a lot of Saskatchewan fans here at Commonwealth Stadium finally have something to cheer about, but what a tremendous job by Kevin Mason on the run. He slips initially. Right here he goes to set up, slips. I believe it was a quarterback draw, design play, and look at that move. Wow. That was running back type. Glenn Rogers Jr.'s got to go back and find his jockstrap.
Saskatchewan went 5 quarters without scoring a touchdown. Their last major was scored in the second quarter of the Montreal game. Frank Jagas puts the point after through. The Green Riders are on the board, trailing 22-7 at Commonwealth Stadium. Saskatchewan has 10 first downs in this football game. Half of them came on that last drive engineered by Kevin Mason, who runs 4 times for 32 yards and a touchdown. 10:28 to go in the fourth quarter. Edmonton leads 22-7. Here comes Darian Hagan. He slips down at about the 23-yard line. Turf Monster got him, a 52-yard kickoff, a loss of 1 on the return.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Mason shows that he has great running ability. Another look at the touchdown shows what kind of ability that is. I mean, that's a pretty good tackler, and Willie Pless, he misses him, and then Darian Hagan right there has a shot at him and doesn't get him. Great moves by Kevin Mason to find the end zone. I mean, this is the all-time tackler in the Canadian Football League. Misses him there. That little slip move he's going to patent.
Well, Kevin Mason rushed for 600 yards in his senior year at Syracuse. That's a pro-style passing offense at Syracuse, so running the ball for that many yards, quite an accomplishment. Give goes off to Jerry Collins, and Collins gets beaten back at about the 25-yard line after a pickup of a couple. Been kind of a Syracuse jinx in the Canadian Football League. The last 3 Syracuse starters have all played the CFL. Don McPherson, who had a tough time with Hamilton and Ottawa. Marvin Graves, who started with promise for Toronto. And now Kevin Mason, who engineers this drive. 66 yards and a touchdown. Marvin Graves still has a chance, though. He's back in the Canadian Football League playing for Hamilton. It should be noted he underwent fairly serious back surgery. On second down, McManus over the middle has Darren Flutie. And Flutie has a first down up to the 43-yard line. The lead guitarist of the Flutie brothers has the first down.
Oh, the lead guitar. I don't know how he sings. I've never seen the show, but he can sure get open in zone defense. Bryce Bevel's going to push him into the middle of the zone. Tommy Smith, the linebacker, had been sucked up into the play action, and because of that, Darren Flutie found the hole.
18-yard pickup for Flutie, who's having a good afternoon. Now McManus. Back over the middle for Flutie again. It's picked up. It is intercepted by Tommy Smith. And Tommy Smith gets into Edmonton territory. Down to the 45-yard line. Greg Battle tipped the ball up in the air. And don't look now, the Saskatchewan defense has turned in another big play.
I got to tell you something, you can go to the well so often, and that was a play that Ron Lancaster, Darren Flutie, and Danny McManus had run a bunch of times in this game to try and get him over the middle. But when you have number 35, Greg Battle, the veteran in there, he reads the quarterback, seen the play before. He doesn't have to see Darren Flutie. He knows that Flutie's behind him. He tips that ball up, and Tommy Smith gets the tip, and a turnover for Saskatchewan. McManus has to make the tackle, and LeBrant Robinson's been in the backfield all game. Hits him again there.
He sees an interception. He looks straight for the quarterback. From the Edmonton 45-yard line, Mason, lots of time. Wants to go deep, has a man, Mayfield, and it's knocked away at the last second. Glenn Rogers Jr. with an outstanding defensive play.
He's had an interception already this afternoon and played a very sound football game for Edmonton. Comes up with a big play there, and Kevin Mason's going to learn longer he's been in the league that he's got to put air on this ball. You see, Curtis Mayfield is in behind Glenn Rogers, but because the ball has a low trajectory, Glenn Rogers Jr. has a chance to catch up to it and bat it away.
Second down. Mason has a man wide open. Dan Farthing, and Farthing has a first down to the Edmonton 30-yard line. A gain of 15 yards, and Dan Farthing would appear to be Mason's favorite receiver. Maybe they spent a lot of time in practice together.
Well, you know, Dan Farthing will switch in and out with Ray Allgard throughout the game. Coming off his best year last year where he had over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, really coming into his own. And you see how his initiation, Kevin Mason is going to get hit right there by Derek McCready, who's back in the football game after that injury early.
Mason falling, gets it away to Darren Joseph. Darren Joseph, great tackle. He gets down to the 15-yard line. Darren Joseph's first touch of this football game is good for a 15-yard gain.
Well, he led the team in rushing last year for Saskatchewan, but because of the play of Robert Mims, who you see right there on the sideline resting up, Darren Joseph, who is right here in the screen, gets a chance to get his hands on the football. Just going to do the little turnaround right there in front of Larry Ruck, but watch the move. Well, we don't get a chance to see it, but he throws a move on Larry Ruck and breaks to the outside.
Back to the live action, first down for the 15. Mason has it knocked down. Mike Sellers got his big hand up and knocked that down. And Melvin Hunter, I think, was there too. A Patrick Ewing-like rejection of that pass.
Well, Mike Sellers came into this game tied with the defensive backs Darian Hagan and Malcolm Frank in knockdowns. He's an expert at it. Had a couple coming in. Look at his height. Gets up there and bats that ball down. That was about a 35-inch vertical.
6:45 to go in the fourth quarter. Second down from the 15. Here comes the rush. Mason gets away, and he won't get away that time. Melvin, the big game hunter, tracks him down. And Saskatchewan will try for a field goal.
Well, Kevin Mason eluded the first pressure from Benny Goods. Benny Goods had the first shot at Mason. He's going to roll out to his left, try and go back. Benny Goods came in untouched. He eludes that tackle and breaks out to the outside, but with both Benny Goods and Melvin Hunter and their talent, boy, it's just a matter of time before they're going to get to you.
5th sack of the year for Melvin Hunter. Frank Jagas from the 33. And the former Eskimo misses it to the left. Saskatchewan gets 1. Edmonton leads by 14. Saskatchewan is within 2 touchdowns of Edmonton, but likely wanted more. This Saskatchewan defense has played very well, but Frank Jagas misses the field goal.
Rip managed to hold her. The hold looked fine. A little even body English won't help that one get in.
The Edmonton Eskimos have not scored an offensive point in this game since late in the first quarter. The Saskatchewan defense has turned in an effort tonight that is nothing short of heroic. McManus up to throw, up over the middle. Eddie Brown, the intended target, but the pass was tipped away.
Well, I tell you what.
Did Greg Battle get that again?
Yeah, he did. I mean, Greg Battle has had his hands on that football. He's been in the league. He's been in the league so long. He can pattern read. What pattern read means, here he is right here, means when he sees certain receivers do things he knows exactly what's happening behind him without even having to look, and you see him just flow to the football and knock that one away again.
Greg Battle released by Montreal in training camp.
I couldn't believe he'd been sitting around so long.
Now McManus from the shotgun, long throw, and complete to Nick Mazzoli. No.
Oh, man.
Mazzoli does not hang on. That ball hung up there a long time.
Oh, he really should have had it, though. That's a big play for Nick Mazzoli. I mean, he has to come up with that catch. Looked like he had it. Maybe hit him in the legs or the knees because he was down on his hands and knees when he went to come up with the catch. But that stops the drive for Edmonton. Here comes the ball, and it goes down low, hits his hands, hits his chest, and then the grass.
Edmonton with 2 first downs in the second half. Rod Harris and Anthony Drawhorn are back deep to receive. Aaron Ruffin returned a punt for a touchdown in the first meeting, but he is injured this week. Harper with a good high kick. Drives Harris back to the 30. Flags are down, and that'll be no yards. Grady Cavness looked to get a little too close. 5:02 left in the fourth quarter. Saskatchewan down by 14. Well, both teams have had turnover problems in this game. Don Narcisse has just 1 catch, but the story they may be talking about in Regina for the next few days is the play of Kevin Mason. First career touchdown. Engineers the scoring drive. They got Saskatchewan off the 0. And look out, Mason's in trouble, and Melvin Hunter has him again. Second straight sack for Melvin Hunter. That is now 6th on the year. Man, that's new. What is that?
I'm not sure about the dance. I'm awfully sure about the pass rush. I mean, there he is right there, Melvin Hunter. This is a Edmonton defense that leads the league in sacks and continues at it. He just discarded John Terry.
Back to the live action. Don Narcisse with the catch, but again, well short of the first down. In fact, 12 yards short of the first down is Don Narcisse.
Well, now,
and the punting unit comes back out.
You know, I mean, the point comes up again about the play selection. Now, there's not too many plays in the playbook that give you, 18 or 20 yards, which Saskatchewan needed for the first down. But, I mean, to throw that little pass to Don Narcisse doesn't even give you a chance.
Shit. Shalon Baker and Darian Hagan back deep to receive the punt. Matic, pretty good kick. Here comes Shalon Baker from the 25. Baker trying to get outside, trying to bring it back. And give Wayne Provo credit for sticking with him. He hung in there to limit the return. It was a 42-yard punt and a return of just a couple. Hey, there's a young Edmonton Eskimo fan.
Still giving the thumbs up because his team is still up.
37,000 here today. Saskatchewan's always been a good draw in Edmonton.
Now does that little guy count as one of the 37,000?
I don't know.
Or is that a half?
Well, speaking of halves, 2 of 11 is Danny McManus in the second half of this game. First and 10 for the Eskimos, 3:35 and counting to play. And Bobby Jurison and company need to turn in more big plays. The toss goes to Eric Blunt. Jurison forces it back inside, and Greg Battle finishes it off, a 3-yard gain.
That was a great shot of Bobby Jurison just before the snap of the ball. Jurison has had to come in there and do all the defensive signals, so he was calling out where to change the defensive formation as the play was developing. Now, he never used to do this. It's tough to do it from the defensive line position, but he calls out the change in the defense and then flows to the football right here, turns it back inside so his middle linebacker, Greg Battle, can come up with the hit.
He looks better than he has in about 6 years, doesn't he?
He does.
Second down, big play for the Saskatchewan defense, and McManus throws it well short of Nick Mazzoli. And now the Edmonton fan starts getting on Danny McManus. 2:46 to play in the fourth quarter. Edmonton leads at 22-8. The CFL Live continues after this. Thank goodness they complete all their passes.
Yeah, one incompletion there and someone gets hurt.
Hope you're having a great weekend wherever you're looking in. I'm Gord Miller with Glenn Suter, Darren Detishin, Bob Obilovich, Marty York, and Les Brown are back at CFL Live Control. Good football game, Edmonton and Saskatchewan. Now Glenn Harper will punt it away. And again, it's Harris and Drawhorn back deep, looking for a big return. Good kick by Harper. Sends Harris back to his own 22-yard line. This could be returnable, though. Here comes Rod Harris. Gets outside across midfield. Rod Harris down to the Edmonton 47-yard line. 2:13 to play in the fourth quarter. Saskatchewan's got excellent field position and needs to do something with it.
Well, that's a couple of times now that Rod Harris has given a spark to the offense of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I'm going to go way out on a limb here, Gordon, say this is a pretty key drive for them. Here's Rod Harris with that low, long kick by Glenn Harper. It gives your running back time to set things up and a little bit of space there to find some open areas, and he does there.
A 56-yard punt and a return of 40. And there is Paul Christ, the offensive coordinator. First down. Mason's in trouble, trips, and is down. Mason looked to get away from the pressure initially, but tripped on the heel of one of his offensive linemen, and Benny Goods will get credit for the sack, his 7th of the year.
Well, there's been a lot of criticism as to the play calling in Saskatchewan. Paul Christ, who we took a look at, I mean, they got to deal with this man, that's true, which is Benny Goods, but Paul Christ now on 2nd and long. Let's see what happens.
Don Narcisse can't make the catch, and wouldn't have been there anyway.
No. See, this is the point I've been trying to make. I mean, here they are, 2nd and 11. The Saskatchewan Roughriders throw a 4-yard pass to Don Narcisse. I mean, the play selection has got to start to change, or it's going to be a struggle for Kevin Mason all year.
It's a 3rd down gamble now for Saskatchewan. And Saskatchewan has given the ball away on downs 5 times this year. 3rd and 13 for the Green Riders. Under 2 minutes to play. Ray Elgaard's back into the game. Mason over the middle. Elgaard can't make the catch. First ball has been thrown his way. It was behind him. And the all-time leading receiver couldn't get those big gloves on it.
Wow, it would have been one heck of a catch for Ray Elgaard to come up with this one. I mean, he's coming full speed across the field. You're going to see him come from the left of your screen, right across the field, deep there. He gets in behind the linebackers and then had to reach way back to try and come up with the catch, just out of his reach.
Well, it's been a tough month or so for Jim Daly and crew. This team is like the little girl with the curl. When they don't have the ball, they're great, but when they have it, look out. Now, Danny McManus loses the football and is just able to fall on it, narrowly beating Tommy Smith to the ball. What a huge play that would have been.
Wow, just a little bit of a mix-up right at the mesh point, right up the handoff point right there. Danny McManus looked like he almost wanted to pull that one out, maybe take it on the bootleg, but as he went to pull it out, he hit Eric Blunt right in the hip with it, and that's how the ball came out.
Now Saskatchewan calls timeout with 1:50 to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, Jim Daly's been around the Canadian Football League for quite a long time. He knows that with 1:50 left, still is time. And I'm going to go back, Gordon, one last time to a 1988 Saskatchewan Roughrider team that I played on, where Tom Burgess brought us back against the Calgary Stampeders. With 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, he scored 3 touchdowns. So Jim Daly knows it is possible.
Now 2nd and very long for the Eskimos. Draw play, Eric Blunt. Bobby Jurison tracks him down and makes the stop. 1:45 to go. And the crowd's kind of getting on the Edmonton Eskimos here, up 22-8. Tough room, Commonwealth Stadium, a very tough room. This team has had 24 straight playoff years and has been in 19 of the last 23 Western Finals.
You're only as good as your last play.
Here.
Not even your last game, your last play.
Well, Saskatchewan's back on the road next week in Montreal, and
a lot of tradition here in Edmonton.
No kidding. Next week in Montreal, and home to Winnipeg, then at Toronto. Doesn't get any easier for Saskatchewan. Harper will punt it again, and Saskatchewan might need the return for a touchdown here.
Whoa, breaks.
Huge kick by Harper. Harris back to his 3-yard line. And Tavis Reed gets down and trips him up. Great play on special teams. And Rod Harris is tripped up after a 60-yard punt. A return
Rod Harris
of 7.
with a 4-yard return.
Well, Glenn Harper does it when it matters, doesn't it? Remember the coffin corner kick a couple weeks ago against the Ottawa Roughriders? Last week in Toronto, we did it again.
It doesn't have the best average coming into this game, but you're right, Gordon. This team needs a big punt. Glenn Harper seems to come up with it.
Well, here's the situation. 1:15 left in the fourth quarter. Down 14 points. Saskatchewan is 100 yards away from pulling within 7 against arguably the league's best defense. Other than that, everything's great. Mason. That pass was tipped, but caught anyway by 10. And Farthing gets up to the 18-yard line, just short of a Saskatchewan first down.
What a catch by Farthing. Had the number 1 target for Kevin Mason. Went way up to get that one and keep this drive going. You can see a look at this great catch by Dan Farthing. Real high throw. Look him go way up, fully extend himself, come down with the football, and then break that tackle and get a couple extra yards.
Mason looking back for Farthing again, and Malcolm Frank there on the coverage. The pass ball is incomplete. 1 minute to play in the fourth quarter. So the Edmonton Eskimos look to improve their record to 5-3 on the season. Keep pace with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the tough Western Division. Saskatchewan will drop to 2-6. And Ron Lancaster, with this win, will tie Ray Yock for second on the Edmonton Eskimos all-time list and move within 5 wins of his boss, Hugh Campbell, Edmonton's all-time leader with 70 wins. And now they keep the ball on the ground, and look out, Willie Pless makes the tackle. Well, Robert Mims is moving up on the Saskatchewan Roughriders all-time rushing list. And was that ball fumbled?
Well, no,
Willie Pless says it was, but no, it was third down.
It was third down.
I don't think they got that.
No, I don't think they did.
Look at this. Robert Mims has just moved ahead of Ron Lancaster on the all-time rushing list for Saskatchewan. Ron Lancaster told me that it didn't bother him that guys were moving ahead of him. What really bothered them is that Damon Allen broke his career record for rushing yards by a quarterback in 1 season. Damon Allen rushed for 1,100 yards in 1 year.
Well, Ron Lancaster wasn't known for his running.
No. He says a speedster like me? Well, look at this. It was stopped short, and the Edmonton Eskimos have the football back. So an unusual turn of events there, but Edmonton has it back with 56 seconds to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, Jim Daly saw a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel with the good performance from Heath Rylance.
And it was just another train coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes Eric Blunt, and Blunt is wrapped up by Bobby Jurison, who will play hard until he hears the gun.
It doesn't matter if it is a blowout, the first play of the game, or the last play. Bobby Jurison gives you that kind of effort on every down.
He just is a football player, isn't he? He's a deer hunting, truck driving, quarterback sacking football player.
He is a blue-collar, hard-working guy. He's a student of the game. He's in the weight room every single day. I mean, he gives it everything he has every time he's out there.
How do you know he was in the weight room every day? Did you hear about it? Or?
No, yeah, I just walked by and saw him in there.
Where is the weight room at Taylor Field?
It's in the back somewhere.
You can hear it from where you sat, right? Well, Saskatchewan drops to 2-6. The Edmonton Eskimos go to 5-3, and the Calgary Stampeders, after thrashing Hamilton last night, improved to 7-1 on the year. All kinds of great matchups to talk about coming up this year. Think about Calgary and Edmonton meeting in the Labor Day back-to-back. Calgary-Toronto will be some great games. Edmonton-Winnipeg have a showdown coming up.
The Labor Day Saskatchewan-Winnipeg showdowns are always great.
You know what? Even during the bad times in Saskatchewan, it seemed like the Riders always played Winnipeg tough at Taylor Field.
Yeah, it's always a good matchup there.
Well, this is interesting. Edmonton downs the ball, and now Sean Fleming will try a field goal. from the 31-yard line. And Fleming puts it through. Edmonton now with a 25-8 lead. Remember, the Eskimos lost the first game to Saskatchewan this year, so the edge in points for and against will make something of a difference.
Whenever you play a team in your own division, you always want to score as many points as you can.
So why not go for the end zone on second down? Well, I'm just asking.
That's the wrong guy, though. He's down there on the sideline. That's the guy you got to ask.
I'll ask him after the game.
Yeah.
Coming up next week, Ryan Walter and I are doing World Cup hockey. Oh. There's a football game?
Hockey?
There's a football game?
It's the summer. What's up with hockey?
Ottawa and Toronto from Skydome next Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Mason. He goes over the middle for Farthing. That was almost intercepted by Singor Mobley. Dan Farthing saw Singor Mobley coming from about 10 yards away and was ready to make the tackle.
Singor Mobley almost intercepted that pass twice.
Did you get 2 interceptions
look,
for that?
He's doing the push-ups because you know what happens? Defensive backs in practice, they have a shot. Yeah, if they have a shot at interception in a practice and miss it or drop it, they have to do push-ups. We always used to do it in Saskatchewan. Obviously, they do it in Edmonton. So
that explains your upper body, then, Glenn.
Singor Mobley is doing his push-ups right now, so he doesn't have to do it in the first practice back.
Ah. You are a font of knowledge. Mason. Gonna air it out the other way. Darian Hagan was lurking there dangerously. Don Narcisse makes the catch up at the 46-yard line, and that will do it. The Edmonton Eskimos get a touchdown from their defense, a safety, and their defense plays very well. Saskatchewan just could not hold them back. 25-8, Edmonton beats the Riders. Saskatchewan has now lost 13 of its last 15 at Commonwealth Stadium.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by Corel, world leader in CD-ROM technology.
Our next game comes to you from Skydome on Saturday. The Ottawa Roughriders and the Toronto Argonauts. We're on the air at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We hope you enjoyed tonight's contest. Good night, everybody.